Okay, right. Hi everybody, it's Linda Schulte. I'm here on my Thursday at about 1 o'clock, and we're doing the usual Thursday at 1 o'clock Facebook Live with Linda at Schulte Realty. And as you guys know, I come on Thursdays and I feature vendors and business associates that do anything with buying and selling houses, home maintenance. I also love to feature anybody who is a non-for-profit out there. So if you are a non-for-profit locally, please reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you about highlighting you on here on a Thursday as well. So go ahead and invite some people, suggest it to others. This is really great information. Today we're going to be talking about insurance. And as you guys know, I get super excited about insurance. I have no idea why, but I do. And today, one of the things that I don't know, I guess being from Miami Beach is one of the reasons why flood insurance feels like it's such an important topic for me. And also, you know, knowing that in the Orlando area, there's some homes out there that are not technically in a flood area, and they're not required to by any government or lender to have flood insurance, but I do know that it's a great thing to have. So today, I'm going to be featuring the great Jackie Berkson with LRA Insurance. And our main topic is going to be flood insurance, but we're going to touch on some other items as well. Jackie, thanks again for being on here with me. And if you would tell us all who you are, what you do, and anything else you want to give a shout out about you.
Well, it's kind of hard to top that great Jackie Berkson, but hey, I'll ride on that all day long. Thanks for having me, Linda.
Yeah.
I really appreciate these opportunities because it's really the few times that I really get to get out there and reach out and really get people informed with facts. So thank you for this opportunity. But I am Jackie Berkson with LRA Insurance. I've been in the business for probably going close to 18, 19 years now. So I kind of like doing what I do. This is a great mid-sized family-owned insurance agency located in Orlando, right off the I-4 corridor. We are insurance brokers, so that means that you get a lot of different options out there. People that might say no to you somewhere else, we always say yes. So we've yet to say no to anyone. We're able to insure just about everyone. Okay, so that's always a good resource to have.
It's a fact.
And you know, me personally, you know this about me, but I am available anytime. So yeah. I mean, if it's the weekend, you're out showing properties, or you find a home that you love, obviously showing properties if you're a realtor, if you find a home you love, you're a consumer, but you have a question about insurance, it is invaluable to have someone you can reach and ask that question that is an authority. I have some underwriting experience, so any question you ask is something you can take to the bank, literally.
And it's a true statement. So if I'm out showing houses, I come across a panel, and I think she loves this. So here's a panel. Click, take a picture of it, and she says it's on the naughty list. But wait. And then I go through the whole list, and it's like, by I get to the fourth, I know what her answer is going to be. Sometimes I do it for humor with you, but you know,
keep me on my toes, Linda.
Yeah, it's you know, it's like, but wait, there's more. You know, when I'm at a house, just because it's fun, because then I get to go back and I get to talk about it with Jackie, and I get to bring it out to everybody out there who's a consumer, buying houses, selling houses, and hopefully even some other realtors too, that they could get some information out of this. Absolutely. Instead of the school of the hard knocks that some of us have to go through. You know, so Jackie, I know we're going to be talking about flood insurance, so pardon me for jumping into another one. On a Facebook community page, it's so interesting how I see this post by other realtors, and they say, anybody out there able to cover polybutylene pipes? We call them poly pipes, and it was what we refer to them. And it's interesting the degrees of how many answers go out there to absolutely no, nobody will cover you, to I saw one recently that said they would have full coverage. So yeah, I would love to know what the premium is on that one. So tell us, you know, a polybutylene pipe, tell us, what is it? Is it true or not true? Can you or can you not get insurance on it?
Here's the thing, polybutylene is kind of just a side note to the whole picture of insuring the home, okay? It really boils down to whether the person is going to leave the polybutylene in the home, or if they're going to be replacing it after they close and move in. So, having said that, there are companies that will allow the polybutylene to be in the home, and they're okay with it, and they'll write it. Then there's like a category to that, whether that company is going to offer any water damage coverage for that home, or whether they will, and if they do, it's going to be limited to $10,000. Okay, so that's not just for the poly; that's for any water damage for that home.
That's gonna be my next question.
$10,000. So there's a company that won't make you jump through loopholes or anything. They'll just give you the $10,000 flat and you're done. Okay. There's another company that says if you go out and get a plumber's certification that says that plumbing is in good condition, it's not leaking, they will allow you to buy that endorsement for the $10,000. Okay, so it's you either jump through a hoop for it, or they will offer it automatically. But that one that offers it automatically is not a very competitive quote. But it's nice to know that it's available now. Going back to whether it's covered fully. Obviously, if they're limiting it to $10,000, it's not fully covered.
Right.
Here's the other side of that. If you have a claim and it happens to be because of the polybutylene, you will have to replumb that house in order for them to continue insuring you.
Oh, wow.
So it's still your baby, whether you want to handle it before you buy that house or later on if something happens. Now, I feel like insurance companies are over conservative with polybutylene. I mean, knock on wood, I have a home and I've got polybutylene in my home. Now, the only company I know that insures it fully, okay, and it has to do with the house, is if it's a custom home that is priced at least $600,000 to $700,000 or higher. That is usually a custom home. If it's a custom home, there is one company that doesn't care what's in the house, they'll just insure it, okay? And that, I'll tell you right now, it's Chubb, all right? Chubb, but they're very particular about what they take in terms of it has to be a high-value home. It has to be, custom. It has to be at least, actually, if I remember correctly, they just raised their minimums to $750, if I remember correctly. So you're talking higher, more expensive home, and they will take it. So, and I have I've got Chubb, right? So that's really the only company that's going to insure it fully. Everyone else, you're stuck with the fact that it's either limited coverage or no coverage at all.
Gotcha. And just to reiterate something that Jackie said is that there's companies out there that won't make you jump through hoops, and then they get a $10,000, but they're not the most competitive, which is meaning the premium's going to be higher. So those are all things that you have to balance out when you're buying a home, or if you're trying to get new insurance on your home. Can you stomach the higher premiums? Can you afford the higher premiums? Or is it in your best interest to get a home replumbed? And I'm just going to get up on my soapbox right now about something, is that don't wait until you're selling your home, or don't wait until you have to get new insurance. Maintain your home as you move along, as you're living in. I mean, most people are living in their homes more than 5 years, 7 years, sometimes 15, 20, 25. Some people, 30 years. While you own the home, just like you would maintain your automobile, would you not put new tires on it? Those are things that you want to do, is the maintenance as you move along. While you're living in the home, taking care of it and maintaining it. You don't wait until that, and you're like, hey, we want to sell our house in 6 months. Okay, you have to do $70,000 worth of renovations in order to get anything near market value. So that's my soapbox for this moment. But one of the things, like bringing up the polybutylene, and that's water damage. So that leads us back over to flood insurance, which are two separate things. And while you're not required to have flood insurance, Jackie, there is the possibility that somebody's home could flood even though they're not in the flood zone, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Actually, flood insurance is probably the most underappreciated, undervalued type of insurance out there, and it's really not that expensive for what it does for you. Common misconception is that just flood insurance is only needed in high-risk areas, right? But that's not true. As a matter of fact, I've got some statistics here I'm reading that say that 25% of all flood claims occur in low to moderate risk areas. And a third of them receive federal disaster relief assistance. So that just goes to show you there's absolutely a necessity. And if you think of it, to put it into perspective, if let's say you've got a 30-year mortgage, you know that a 30-year mortgage has a 25% chance of flooding that home.
Yeah.
And while they only have a 10% chance for a fire.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So that's something to think about. And just so you know, anytime I work with any of your clients, everybody gets a flood quote from me, whether they ask for it or not.
Well, I also recommend it too.
That, and also it starts a conversation. I want you to know that these are the things that are available to you, and it's a good idea to get. And I want you to ask me a question about it, because it gives me the opportunity to share with you the importance of it. Yeah, I'd love to sell a bunch of policies, but really and truly, I've always put myself in in the consumer's shoes. What would I want my agent to tell me? And I would want my agent to tell me the things that could possibly happen to me with my investment, which is my home. So that's what I typically do. Everyone gets several quotes, and among them is going to always be a flood insurance quote.
Yeah, and that's the thing to point out, is some people think it's just a way for the insurance company or Jackie to make an extra dollar. Some people actually think I get money because I'm telling people to get flood insurance or home warranties. I don't. I'm looking out for the best interest of the consumer. So I always say, although I think the average price, if it's not required, maybe it's about $400 or $500 a year.
Well, here's the thing. There is such a thing as where you mentioned where it's not required or required, okay? So there's actually a few circumstances. I always tell you that whenever you come across, when you're showing homes and you see in the listing that it's an AE flood, run it by me, because don't think that that's a high risk. Many times that's just the FEMA, labeling it AE so that it, again, brings up a conversation about flood. Have a look, make sure, run the numbers. I'm always happy to do that, to clarify. I've done that for you. I've done it for several people. Always have your insurance agent just run a quick flood. And if they don't want to do it unless they have a name, and listen, call me. I'm happy to do it for you. It's something that you absolutely need to know. It can make or break a deal too, right?
It can be. Yeah, Jackie, that's great. I'm so glad you mentioned that AE part of it, because some people coming from out of the state of Florida, like, I don't want anything but an X. I don't think but an X. I get that, but some people come from out of state. They're looking at properties that are somewhere from 2 to 10 acres. A portion of that property is going to be in an AE, more than likely, especially once we get over 3 acres. It's the home that we're worried about in most cases. Is that true?
Well, when you come across an AE, here's what happens. It's basically, it's not committing to any specific flood zone. What it's doing, like I said, it's raising a flag so that you look into it further. Typically what I found with AE floodplains is that they are in what they call a split zone. So a split zone is what you described, where it's a lot. It doesn't have to be acreage. It could be something standard. But what I find in let's say, tract communities, homes that are, where there's a lot of the same type of homes, and it happens to be, that home happens to be in a split zone, is where the backyard starts to slope downward into the retention area, or to the lake, or to the whatever, water, or just a retention section that they have to have in these communities.
Or wetland too.
Exactly, it could be that too. So if a part of that lot is touching that low-lying area, that's where you have a split zone. Now, to have or not to have flood insurance in a situation like that, where the chances of that home flooding are very unlikely, it's really up, if you're getting a mortgage, it's up to your mortgage company. They're the ones that require it or not required at that point when it's a split zone. I find that they typically require it. The good news about it is that it's inexpensive. So you're not getting high flood rates when it's a split zone like that, and they're going to require it. That goes into the standardized market program. And so what that does, it's priced at, it's a certain price for a certain amount of insurance, and you can buy up to $250,000 worth of it through the National Flood Insurance Program. Now, in the last year, we've got private market companies coming into the flood insurance market as well, and that's a fantastic thing, because now you have more options.
Yay.
It's less expensive most of the time, and it's much better coverage. So for example, the National Flood Insurance Program, they don't offer loss of use. The private markets offer loss of use. What is loss of use? Well, guess what? It's very important, because once you're flooded out of your home, where do you go? You have to go live somewhere else. You got to move your stuff and go live somewhere else. Well, the private markets will pay for you to live somewhere else, where the National Flood Insurance Program does not offer that at all.
Good, good.
Yeah.
Well,
absolutely.
I did not realize that it's been more companies are coming in and doing the flood insurance.
They are.
And just like anything, even housing market, the more there are, the better the pricing are.
Always.
So that's
Competition is good.
Competition's always good.
Absolutely,
Love it.
absolutely.
I really do. So let's see. So again, we always try to keep these to about 20 minutes. So we're heading into about the 20-minute mark right here. So what is one of the? Did we do enough on the flood for your? Yeah, I know you've got a lot of information in there. And
I
flood
do.
insurance. We're going to be hitting our hurricane season, folks. And this is why I start to talk about this now, because now is the time to, one, call your insurance agents and talk about what your policies are, and two, talk about with your insurance person about flood insurance. And then the main thing I always tell people, make sure you know how to get a hold of your insurance person. This is why having a local representative is really awesome, because you know who to call. So for instance, you have Jackie at LRA, and it's like, hey, I have something going on at my house. It's hurricane season. You get a hold of Jackie. So that if you have to go into a massive, large company and be inside their call system, you never know when you're going to get a reach back out to you.
You very rarely get to speak to the same person twice. But I think I need to stress one more thing about flood and the definition of flood, because it does vary. I want to make clear that your homeowner's insurance policy does not automatically cover you for these type of floods. And I want to read the definition of flood, where we're talking what we just mentioned, and also the type of coverage that we're talking about. This is water coming into your home from the outside, guys. So it's rising water that hits the ground and comes and invades your home. That's the type of flood that we're talking about here. The type of flood that is covered under your homeowner's policy is going to be floods that happen from within the home, from inside the home, pipes breaking, a loose connection that leaks water, things like that. That's part of your homeowner's insurance policy. But the flood that we're talking about is a standalone policy, or nowadays with the advent of the private market companies, now some insurance companies that are offering homeowners insurance are now allowing us to endorse or add additional coverage to your homeowners. And that's a really nice thing, because that's actually
awesome.
the least expensive way to obtain flood insurance. So if the insurance carrier offers that option, it's super inexpensive, and it's a great way to go, because now you're getting full coverage in terms of if your house is $280,000, you're getting $280,000 worth of flood. You're not capped at $250,000. So that's a beautiful thing. And then it's the same flood. It's the same as your all other perils deductible. So if you have $1,000 deductible, that's what your deductible would be for this as well. So that's really important to know. So the definition of flood, okay, whether you're private market or national flood insurance, is this: a general and temporary condition of partial or complete inundation of 2 or more acres of normally dry land area, or of 2 or more properties, one of which is yours, from overflow of inland or tidal waters, unusual and rapid accumulation or runoff of surface waters from any source, and mud flow. So you see there, it's very encompassing. A lot of things can affect your home because of the flooding. And something as simple as we have heavy rains and they haven't cleaned the gutters in the neighborhood, and now that water's got to go somewhere. It's coming in your house. The key here is that at least 2 houses have to be involved in the flooding, okay? You can't just put a claim in because you had some kind of flooding situation. It has to be catastrophic.
Okay. Well, let's say, for instance, it's a hurricane season. We're not in a flood zone, and the drain pipes in our community back up, and it floods just one home. Would that be covered?
Absolutely,
Okay.
it would be covered.
Good.
Absolutely, because any water that comes in from the outdoors, from the ground into your home, is going to be covered under a flood insurance policy.
And I always bring that one up because there was a neighborhood that during hurricane season they did not require flood insurance. She didn't have it. That's what happened. $90,000 worth of damage. And we're talking $90,000 worth of damage in a home that's probably priced at about $300,000. So, you know, that's why, again, I always say the term, don't step over a dollar to pick up a dime. And when you think that flood insurance is too expensive, it's an unneeded expense. You know, the reason why we have car insurance is because we don't expect to get into a car accident. We don't expect to have our homes flooded, but listen, we're in the state of Florida, and I'm not trying to scare anybody away, but, like, hey, don't come here, but it's just something that can happen. We hope it never does happen, and it doesn't matter if you're on the coast next to a river or not. It can happen anywhere, because when rain comes down quick enough and the ground can't suck it up fast enough, it could be getting into our homes as well. So
that's exactly right.
And hey, Lori, did you get flood insurance on your house? Sorry, I'm calling out Lori. They had something at their house happen. It wasn't a flood, but a pipe bust, something in the house, and it blew a toilet off of a wall. It was the most bizarre thing. Sorry, Lori, if I'm calling you out on that one, but it was, they had to contact their insurance people and, get it. They minimized it, the damage, of course, and they got a plumber in there fast, and it's also, on that note, I just have to also say, one of the things, they didn't call me and ask me this question, but sometimes I get a phone call from a homeowner, especially if they're brand new.
Sure.
Where do I turn my water off? I have a flood going on. Where's the I'm like, I don't remember every house. So that's something that you get your home inspections. That's the thing you need to do. Numero uno. Ask that inspector, how do I turn the water off to my house? And that you want to do that. And also the other thing is the hot water heater too. Because if that thing explodes, you want to make sure you know what to do in that situation as well. I buy and sell houses. I don't know how to maintain them. I don't know how to inspect them. I know enough. I don't do insurance. That's why I've got Jackie on speed dial. So what else is going on with insurance, with flood insurance?
Well, going back to, why someone would not buy flood insurance knowing that it's a great idea to do so. The number one reason is what you touched on, is people think it's too expensive. No one wants to pay more than they have to for insurance. But frankly, I've got numbers here that'll blow your mind. Hurricanes Harvey, Irma, and Maria revealed that as many as 80% of people in Texas didn't have flood insurance. 60% of people in Florida didn't have flood insurance, and 99% of Puerto Rico homeowners did not have flood insurance in place. Why would you live in Puerto Rico and not have flood insurance? It's an island. But anyway, it happens, right?
Yeah.
So just to mention to you that it is amazing. And then people also underestimate the threat, right? So they figured, there's always a disaster, the flood disaster program, but have you ever had to work with a government agency to pay you for anything you deserve? Well, that's what you're actually looking at when you have to go to the federal disaster relief. First of all, the president has to declare it a disaster. Right. When you have private flood insurance, you declare when you have a disaster, not the president. So you're more in control of these situations. Also the coverage, the disaster program is not free money, folks. That is a loan. You are going to be given a loan that you're expected to pay back. Flood insurance doesn't work that way. That's designed to protect you. You're paying your premium, so you don't have to pay that back. So just remember, that's important. People don't realize that, but when all that whole area in Texas flooded and people didn't expect it to flood because it's never flooded before, a levee broke, all those 500,000 and higher price homes, they didn't have flood insurance. They went to this, guess what? You won't even be made whole. It's really just a vehicle to get you back on your feet. Wow. Right? So flood insurance is designed to make you whole, right? But not, if you go to the disaster program, that's just money to help you along. Okay?
Hey, real quick, my friend Maureen, she lives up in Washington, D.C. She says she can't participate because she's being held hostage with an Uber. So, not really held hostage, so don't call out anybody. But she said she can't participate. But interestingly enough, she lives in a condo, multi-story condo. And I want to say it's like at least 10 stories high in Washington, D.C. Does somebody who's in the middle, do they need to look at getting flood insurance? Because I think something happened in her community and they had to, something with a flood happening from the roof down.
Is that in Florida?
It was in Washington, D.C. Something happened, I think, and I wish she could participate and tell us what happened. Something with flood insurance and asking whether or not that she was, should she get it? Is it something somebody in a condo should get, or is it case by case?
Well, your condo association is going to have a master policy, and then you have one for your particular unit, right? So, you know, I gotta tell you, I'm a big proponent of getting flood insurance if you're living that close to somebody else. Because the chances of that person making some stupid mistake and causing you grief, that you're not gonna be able to file it on their policy, you have to file it on your own. So you have to protect yourself against their stupidity. So you definitely get, and by the way, those condo flood policies are dirt cheap. You're talking, you know, I wrote one not long ago for a condo in Melbourne Beach, and she got up to $250,000 worth of coverage, and it was, oh my gosh, I think it was like $250 a year, super cheap. So
It's well worth it.
I would not even think twice about that. You're just living too close to somebody else.
My nephew Jason Schoenholtz, he runs condos down in Miami Beach. He was just talking about that. When we're saying, he said the mortgage company will say so whether or not a condo, if you have a mortgage on your condo, whether or not you have to get flood insurance.
Well, remember what I said initially in our conversation is ultimately the mortgage, if you're getting a mortgage, they are the ultimate authority in whether are you required to carry flood insurance or not, no matter what we find everywhere else. Okay, so if they say you need to look at flood insurance, then we will, you know, you have to. Otherwise, you're not getting that loan.
Yeah. It's what he just said. It's well worth the money.
Oh my gosh,
So
yes.
you think that if you're in a condo, you wouldn't need flood insurance, but the things can happen from the exterior, and also sometimes there's areas where the water could rise very quickly. You might be on the first or second floor. That water could rise just as high and get in there as well. So again, it goes back to, even though mom and dad aren't telling you have to get it, mom and dad being the mortgage company, doesn't say you have to have it. It's something you really need to look at. Have a discussion with your professionals like Jackie. She's been doing this for nearly 20 years.
Almost. I'm going on 19. It looks like I just did the math.
She started when she was 12, obviously.
Yes,
so.
obviously.
Oh, by the way, we both just had our birthdays.
I know. I'm a day older than she is.
Yeah, so... Oh, I look like 10 years older than her.
Stop.
So, but yeah, Jack, we just had our birthdays. We're Pisces girls here, so woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Oh, my nephew Jason just had his birthday on the 8th as well.
Hey,
Happy
he seems like a cool guy.
Happy birthday, Jason. Yeah,
Happy birthday, Jason.
He's kind of elderly for my nephew, though.
Oh.
Well, listen, Jackie, I want you to give everybody your phone number so that they can reach out to you if they have any questions. How do they get a hold of you?
Well, you know, like everybody else does, I have only one number, and that is my direct business cell number. It's 407-921-4382. You can call me anytime. I mean it. You can text me anytime. If I have the answer right away, you're going to get a response right away. If not, I will tell you I'm on my way to get it, and you will have that response. But most of the time, I have your answers, don't I, Linda? And I mean, I haven't steered you wrong yet. And I don't intend to do that anytime soon.
And I try, because I call up with, and everybody does this, where do you come up with these questions? I'm just inquisitive. I want to know.
You are probably my most inquisitive of the realtors, and I kid you not, it's probably thanks to you that I stay sharp. But you do. You have some really interesting questions. And you know, do we have any more time? Because there's just one more little thing I want to talk about. And this has to do with 4-point inspections and wind mitigation.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good point.
This is really important because, like you had mentioned, that site where all these realtors go in and they ask, does someone insure Poly? Does someone insure Federal Pacific? When is a wind mitigation inspection required? Here's the bottom line. 4-point inspections are really only needed by your insurance carrier, okay? They're the ones that need it. And if they don't want it and they don't ask for it, there's no point in having it. However, I'm a big proponent of getting these things done in advance. Also, I'm a big proponent of you shopping for your insurance as soon as possible because it really helps you work better and closely with Linda so that she's able to negotiate things on your behalf if there are issues to be addressed. I don't mind running quotes and giving you information. As a matter of fact, when I'm getting the address and I'm doing some background on the house, I'm able to tell you what to look for, what to ask for your inspections, what is worthwhile and what is not. So the quicker you get in contact with your insurance agent, the better and the smoother this portion of your purchase will be. So going back to the 4 points, it's strictly an insurance carrier's requirement. Nobody else cares about a 4-point but the insurance carrier. They look at the 4 major components of the home. That is the air conditioning and heating, the water heater, the plumbing, the electrical, and the, what am I missing? The roof. Okay? And here's what they want to know. They want to know that it's in good condition, that the home has been cared for and it has been updated as it should be. The materials that are used in these components, the brand of some of these components, because that makes a difference. Now, I don't want to scare you. I can insure everything, okay? But you want to know this in advance, because if there's a possibility that Linda can negotiate that you get a new the electrical panel replaced, the plumbing updated. If she can do this for you, why not let her do it? That way, down the road, if there's an issue, it's not your baby to take care of, and it can be very pricey. So give her that opportunity by calling me as soon as possible to get these quotes for you, okay? So there are companies that don't require a 4-point even though the home is over 30 years old. We can work with those to get you through closing, but I'm not a big fan of that for the same reason that I just said. You want to know what the problems are in advance. Also, if the insurance company brings these problems up to you, guess what? They're going to light a fire under you by sending you a cancellation letter or fix this within a certain amount of time or you're getting canceled. That's ugly. You don't want to go there. So let's get these things done in advance and as soon as possible. Wind mitigation inspections are not a requirement. It's a suggestion, okay? It's a way to save money on your homeowner's insurance, and it's exclusive to Florida. I hear on that Realtor Mastermind all the time on Facebook. At what point is a wind mitigation required? Never. It's never required. It's a great idea if the home qualifies. And how does a home qualify? It qualifies if a home was built before late 2002 and the home has had the roof reshingled or retiled after 2002. Okay? So I always say, when I'm getting the information from folks over the phone and they're telling me they got a new roof or the home has a new roof and I get the dates there, I will tell them, you want to get a wind mitigation inspection because it'll probably save you a few $100s. And I mean, I've had people save over $1,200 on their insurance a year.
That's 1 year. And a wind mit, depending on who you go with, about the average price I see, anywhere from $85 to $100.
That's exactly right.
One time, couple hundred a year. So do the math there, folks. You want to do it anyway.
Well worth it, but only if the home qualifies, because I hate anybody to throw away $85 to $100 if they don't really need it. If a home is built in late 2002 and later, don't bother with a wind mit. You don't need it. You're going to get the credits anyway. The only time that I recommend someone get a wind mit when the home is built after 2002 is if it's a custom home, and they typically build, the finish grade on those homes is a little higher, and they tend to put extras in the construction of that home, and that's when that pays off. And I will give you the green flag to do that. Don't just go off doing it. I will tell you, get a 4-point, because you will see the difference in that.
And that's why
Or wind mit.
With the wind mit, the 4-point, I'm going to say, you, because I want to make sure you get everything. Go get everything done. But I always say, have you contacted your insurance person? If you have somebody you trust, great. But I highly recommend you call Jackie. Talk to her about it. Because Jackie's going to answer her phone. She's going to watch out for your dollars. And she's going to send you in the right direction. And she's going to call me and tell me, listen, maybe someone's not getting what she's talking about. She might call me up like, hey, listen, I don't think they're understanding what it means to have a Federal Pacific panel and polybutylene, and so maybe we need to have like a phone call together with them. So
we do, and the way I typically address situations like that, I call them perfect storms. You know what? A lot of brokers won't take the time to pick up the phone and talk to an underwriter. My whole staff is trained to do that, to have a serving heart, to stop what they're doing and make those phone calls to get it done. So we're doers here, okay? And so that's why we don't say no to anyone, because we're not embarrassed. We have the time to make sure that you get the right policy on your home.
Perfect. Well, I think we've been on here about 35 minutes, but that's okay. This is all good information. Like I said, I get really excited about insurance. Like I said, I'm not really sure what is the issue with me and insurance, but I just find it to be a necessary evil. You have to spend the money for it because, God forbid, some friends of mine pay their entire house off down in Miami, and they said, we went ahead and canceled our home insurance. This is in Miami,
Well, if they
people.
can afford to self-insure, go for it. But I'm telling you, that's
They
never a good idea.
Couldn't. And I said, what's it going to cost you? It's going to cost you, it's $1,600 a year. And I don't know exactly what that ended up happening, whether they ever got insurance again or not.
Actually, they're all on the naughty list now with the insurance companies because now they've been uninsured for X amount of time. And now when they decide to come around and want to get insurance, now the insurance company's like, oh, you've been uninsured for how long? Why suddenly do you want insurance? So now they're they think like that little wily coyote thinking, what's going on? So that's not a good thing to do for several reasons. The most obvious is, what? You're not going to be covered.
It's the same thing with the home warranty on your home. Like you never had when you get one, and they're like, oh, you're making a claim in 30 days. Of course they're going to deny it. Even if it's 32 days later, they're going to say, well, was it broken before? How long has it been? They'll start asking questions. So, again, these are things I'm not making $1 off of you getting insurance, getting a home warranty, or choosing, certain inspectors, or, getting certain ADT systems put in your house or whatever. I'm giving you the information, and this is just delivering you the information. I can act as a consultant. And on that note, we're going to have to come back again.
We have to. I've got to talk about that home inspections and some of the stuff inspectors say that can really be discouraging. And I don't even know why they say some of the things they say, because most of the time it's wrong, and it can be a deal killer, and it doesn't have to be. And not that I'm trying to push somebody into a house, but it doesn't have to be a problem. The quicker you and I work together on what we do, the quicker you can overcome those obstacles. Absolutely. And we can get it done.
Yeah, I'm sorry, now you're going to get me into the home inspectors, but they say, I've had home inspectors say, well, you can't get insurance on this house.
Oh, my gosh!
It's like, wait a minute. Oh, the other one I loved was like, well, you're never going to pass an FHA inspection. I'm like, I didn't know you were an appraiser.
Exactly. Did you just get your insurance license too, by the way?
Yeah, like they're doing mortgage, you're doing this. And I like to hear the information of what their knowledge base is. You you say it, but don't say it as if it's a fact, because we have to go to, we say, stay in your lane. I'm not going to give you insurance advice. I'm not going to tell you how to inspect a home. I'm not going to tell you how to change out plumbing in a house, because I stay in my lane. I go to or do title work. I go to my professionals and say, hey, you figure this out. I'm going to go off and buy and sell houses and help some other people have dreams of home ownership. So on this note, you're coming back. We're going to talk about home inspections. And I think we should also talk about alarm systems on homes and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
I think that would be a great topic to hit on. And maybe we can highlight one of the home alarm system companies as well with us. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, listen, I'd like to sit here and talk to Jackie for another hour, but I know she's got some phone calls. I hear her phone going off like crazy. So sorry to the realtors if I've hogged her for an hour here. And again, this is Linda Schulte. I'm with Schulte Realty. I'm the broker owner here. If you need to get a hold of Jackie, if you didn't catch her number, we'll go ahead and post it again, but give me a call. You can text message me and say, hey, I need Jackie's number. I'll shoot you over her information. If you are a vendor out there who wants to talk to me about possibly coming on and highlighting what you do out there in the community for buying or selling homes or for maintaining homes and non-for-profits, make sure you give me a shout out. I'd like to really highlight you, because that's really, that's kind of where it's
close to your heart, babe.
It's close to my heart. That's where I came from. I was a recruiter. I did non-for-profits for a long time. And so again, I thank you very much. We'll be back next week on the 28th, and we're going to be having, I believe we're going to be having Encore Plumbing. Hopefully that's right, because I try to memorize. I kept moving things around, but we'll be having plumbing company on, talking about things that relate to insurance, but also home maintenance and who to call in the middle of the night when you have a thing blow out in the middle of your pipes blow out or something like that.
Don't call me.
What was your number again? All right, this is Linda Schulte, Schulte Realty. And remember, Schulte Realty, we cover Florida like the sunshine. All right, bye everybody. Thank you.